Good morning, students. Today my topic is cardiac disease in pregnancy. Pregnancy in patients with heart disease nowadays is becoming common due to the early diagnosis and better treatment. And the incidence of heart disease in pregnancy is 0.2 to 3.7%. It is more common in the US compared to India. It is the 3% in USA and 0.5 to 1% in India. In the developing countries, rheumatic heart disease is more common, and the developed countries like USA, congenital heart disease are more common. And even in India also, the ratio between rheumatic and congenital heart disease, previously it was 10 is to 1. Nowadays, the incidence of congenital heart diseases also have been increased, and the ratio has fallen to 3 is to 1 or even 1 is to 1. Coming to first, initially physiological changes in pregnancy. Physiological changes in pregnancy are for the plasma volume, heart rate, stroke volume, cardiac output all increase during pregnancy, and they go at the peak at 32 to 36 weeks and they fall post delivery. And this is the pattern of the changes in blood pressure in advanced pregnancy. You can see that there is a slight fall in BP in the at 32 to 28 to 32 weeks, but there is the blood pressure is not increased in normal pregnancy. Only when there is an abnormality, when there is patient is having PIH, the blood pressure increases. Then what are the physiological changes in labor and delivery? Pain and anxiety increases the cardiac output. During labor and during uterine contraction, there will be 300 to 500 ml infusion into the central venous system. What are the changes are caused because of the uterine contractions are blood volume is increased by 300 to 500 ml, cardiac output 30 to 60% increase, and blood pressure increased, heart rate is increased, and oxygen consumption is also increased. And what are the physiological changes in labor and delivery? This is just a pictorial description. Next, coming to classification of the heart disease in pregnancy. Acquired conditions are rheumatic heart disease, ischemic heart disease, cardiomyopathies. Congenital conditions, ASD, VSD, PDA. Acyanotic conditions, that is left to right shunt is tetralogy of Fallot. Cyanotic condition, right to left shunt is tricuspid atresia, Epstein's anomaly, transposition of great arteries. Next, aortic stenosis. Obstructive conditions are ASN, coarctation of aorta, and pulmonary stenosis. Other important conditions, arrhythmia, infective endocarditis, Marfan syndrome, mitral valve prolapse, pulmonary hypertension, and Eisenmenger syndrome. Coming to what are the effects of the cardiovascular physiology of in pregnancy on the heart lesion. There will be marked hemodynamic changes in pregnancy and cardiac output. All these have profound effects on the heart disease. A normal heart has got the reserve power so that the extra load can be tackled. But a damaged heart with even a good reserve can withstand the strain, but if the reserve is poor, cardiac failure will occur. The cardiac failure occurs during pregnancy, mostly during the, there are few risk periods. One is at 30 to 32 weeks, during labor, and mostly soon immediately following delivery. What are the factors responsible for cardiac failure in pregnancy? Advanced age of the mother, cardiac arrhythmias, left ventricular hypertrophy, history of previous heart failure. Any appearance of risk factors which can precipitate cardiac failure are infection, anemia, hypertension, excessive weight gain, multiple pregnancy, and no, improper care. Effects of the heart lesion on pregnancy are there will be tendency of preterm delivery, prematurity, and IUGR is quite common in the cyanotic conditions. What is the prognosis of the on the heart lesion? The maternal prognosis depends upon nature of the lesion, functional capacity of the heart, the quality of medical supervision provided, and appearance of the risk factors. your maternal mortality is always lowest in the rheumatic heart lesions, acyanotic group of heart diseases. Here the maternal mortality is less than 1%. With elevation of pulmonary vascular resistance in cyanotic heart lesions, the mortality may rise to even 50%. Most of the deaths occur due to cardiac failure. Maximum deaths occur during labor or immediately after delivery. The other causes of death are pulmonary edema, pulmonary embolism, active rheumatic carditis, subacute bacterial endocarditis, any rupture of aneurysms in cortication of aorta. What are the fetal outcome is? Usually in rheumatic heart lesions, the fetal outcome is good, and it's almost like the normal person. However, in cyanotic heart lesions, there is increased fetal loss due to abortions, IUGR, and prematurity. Fetal congenital cardiac disease is increased by 3 to 10% if either of the parents have congenital heart lesion. Baby also can have the congenital problem. And what are the effects of pregnancy on the maternal heart disease? Main things are congestive heart failure, pulmonary edema, sudden death. And how you will diagnose it? Anatomical and physiological changes during pregnancy also mimic same like cardiac disease, because there will be a tachycardia will be there in the mother, in any pregnant mother. There will be a functional systolic murmur. It will be there in many pregnant patients, usually those who are suffering from anemia. You may mimic it, you may mistake it for a heart disease condition. So what happens in the pregnancy is a hyperdynamic circulatory state. There will be a ejection in heart disease. What are the things it will be there will be ejection systolic murmur at left sternal border due to increased blood flow across the aortic and pulmonary walls. There will be dyspnea, decreased exercise tolerance, fatigue, syncope, tachycardia, shift of the apex beat, continuous murmur at second to fourth intercostal space. This is mammary shuffle, loud S1 with splitting. So symptoms must be carefully assessed and diagnosed. And symptoms of heart disease in pregnancy, patient will complain of breathlessness, nocturnal cough, syncope, chest pain. Signs are chest murmurs, pansystolic murmur, late systolic, loud ejection systolic murmur, or a diastolic murmur associated with a thrill. Normal anemic murmur will be usually only a functional systolic murmur. There will be no diastolic murmur normally with anemia. Then cardiac enlargement, arrhythmia will be there. If you take, usually chest x-ray is not recommended in pregnancy, but you may take it if necessary using a lead shield. They will show cardiomegaly, increased pulmonary vascular markings, and enlargement of pulmonary veins. On ECG, it will be T-wave inversion, biatrial enlargement, and dysrhythmias. And you can even get an echo done to diagnose the structural abnormalities, and a cardiac MRI also can be done. Here you can see there will be S3 will be heard in most of the heart disease complicating conditions, and there will be ejection systolic murmur. Usually it may be due to hypodynamic circulation, but diastolic murmur is very confirmatory of a heart disease. All these auscultatory changes will be resolved 1 to 2 weeks postpartum. And this is very important, NEHA classification of the heart disease in pregnancy. Here this is actually not in pregnancy, it is for general patients also. NEHA classification is grade 1 is uncompromised, no limitation of physical activity. Grade 2, the patient has having slightly compromised activity, short slight limitation. Patient is comfortable at rest, but mild ordinary physical activity is causing discomfort. Grade 3 is markedly compromised with marked limitation of activity. The patients are comfortable at rest, but With less than ordinary activity also the patient is having discomfort. Grade 4 is severely compromised with discomfort even at rest. Next. And the heart disease in pregnancy, they are classified into 3 groups based on the maternal mortality risk. Group 1 is minimal risk, ASD, VSD, PDA, phthalates are two corrected, not uncorrected one. Then MS, NIHA grade 1, 2, bioprosthetic valves. All these come under group 1. It is 0 to 1% mortality, minimal risk. Group 2 or moderate risk is MS, NIHA 3, 4, aortic stenosis. Always remember stenosis is riskier than any regurgitations. AS, Marfan syndrome, Fallet's tetralogy uncorrected, MS with atrial fibrillation, artificial valves. These all come under moderate risk, 5 to 15% risk of mortality. Group 3 are the major risk conditions, pulmonary hypertension. With here group 2 is Marfan syndrome with normal aorta. Group 3 is Marfan syndrome with aortic involvement, coarctation of aorta with valvular involvement. Here the mortality risk is 25 to 50%. So why we classify this is for group 3 patients we suggest termination of pregnancy. Management principles. Early diagnosis of the anatomical type is important. Detect the risk factors. And antenatal care is benzodine penicillin for rheumatic heart disease. Give benzodine penicillin at intervals of 4 weeks throughout pregnancy and puerperium to prevent recurrence of rheumatic fever. Next, what are the risk factors for cardiac failure in pregnancy? Any infection, patient may develop UTI, dental infections, any respiratory tract infections, all these will precipitate cardiac failure, anemia, obesity, hypertension, arrhythmia, hyperthyroidism, beta mimetics, excess intake of caffeine, alcohol, and high calorie diet. Guidelines of management is avoid excessive weight gain, avoid edema, avoid strenuous activity, avoid anemia, and early detection of the problems. How individually what are these? Avoid excessive weight gain by taking a low salt diet, rest in left lateral position, adequate sleep. Avoid strenuous activity. Next, avoid anemia because oxygen carrying capacity will be decreased and the stenosis will worsen with anemia. And all early detection of problem means on each visit when she comes for checkup, check for any infections, that is when she is having any dental pain, UTI, any lung infections. Symptoms of cardiac decomposition, there will be pulse rate will be increased, engorged neck veins, increased jugular venous pulse, liver spleen enlargement, weight gain, generalized edema means anasarca. Treatment is digital digoxin will be given and diuretic. Symptoms of pulmonary congestion is patient will complain of dyspnea, orthopnea, pulmonary cramps, decreased vital capacity. Usually risk periods are 18 to 24 weeks during labor, during delivery and immediate postpartum. What is the role of anticoagulants, that is heparin and warfarin in pregnancy are? These are necessary in congenital heart diseases like who have pulmonary hypertension, artificial valve replacements. The main thing is warfarin should not be taken before 12 weeks and again after 36 weeks. So initially, immediately when the pregnancy is diagnosed, warfarin is replaced by heparin up to 12 weeks. Again after 12 weeks, she can take warfarin up to 36 weeks. And after 36 weeks, again warfarin is replaced by heparin up to 7 days postpartum. Admission protocol is grade 1 is at least 2 weeks prior to EDD, grade 2 at 28 weeks. This is NIHA classification. Grade 2 is 28 weeks. You can admit. Grade 3 and 4 admit as soon as the pregnancy is diagnosed. Management during labor is what is the place of induction? Usually Most patients of the cardiac disease, they know there's no need to induce labor. They usually go into spontaneous labor and deliver. If necessary, induction with a prostaglandin E2 gel may be employed. But all these, there is high chances of infection in heart disease. So, and also if you can't continuously pump IV fluids for them, you have to restrict the fluids because overload leads to pulmonary edema. And in the first stage of labor, that is patient is not yet delivered, in initial stages the patient should be in the left lateral position, in the lateral recumbent position. Oxygen should be administered. Analgesia should be, epidural analgesia is the best. Fluids restricted, and careful watch of the pulse and respiratory rate. If there is any tachycardia, give digoxin, and cardiac monitoring, pulse oximeter should be connected. And prophylactic antibiotic prophylaxis during labor. This is very important to prevent puerperal endocarditis. What is the antibiotic you give is IV, ampicillin 2 grams and gentamicin 1.5 mg per kg, not to exceed 80 mg. So if it is a 60 kgs patient, that you have to calculate it according to the kgs at the onset or induction of labor, and you have to again repeat it after 8 hours. Or the same ampicillin 2 grams and gentamicin. All high risk patients, to whom we have to give this prophylactic antibiotic. All the high risk with heart disease, structural heart disease, cyanotic heart disease, you have to give this to prevent infective endocarditis. Next, in the second stage, that is the actual stage where the from cervical dilatation to the delivery of the baby, there will be excessive maternal pushing will be there. So you should not encourage her to push excessively. No maternal pushing. Second, and you have to shorten the second stage by forceps or ventouse. Ventouse means vacuum. Vacuum is preferable to forceps because it can be applied without putting the patient in the lithotomy position. Forceps, you have patient should be in the lithotomy position. IV, usually methyl ergometrin or methergin is usually given for a normal patient. Here you will not be giving IV methergin. Third stage, after delivery of the baby, conventional management is followed, and the slight blood loss is okay, and if there is any problem you can give oxytocin, and also give IV Lasix is also given to prevent fluid overload. Next, what is the place of, always you go preferably is spontaneous labor and vaginal delivery. What are the conditions where you go for a cesarean section are cardiac indications for cesarean delivery are coarctation of aorta, aortic dissection, aortopathy with aortic root more than 4 centimeters. Warfarin she has taken warfarin within 2 weeks. So remember, warfarin should be stopped by 36 weeks. But immediately if she goes into labor, better go for cesarean because these are all anticoagulants. If she goes for a normal delivery, you can't control the hemorrhage. In coarctation, elective cesarean, why it is done? Because to prevent the rupture of the aorta, anesthesia given is general or epidural. Spinal is totally contraindicated in a heart disease because spinal causes hypotension. In puerperium, patient should be observed closely for first 24 hours for any chances of cardiac decomposition. Oxygen is administered, pulse, BP, all are monitored. Give diuretic if you feel patient is having volume overload. Breast feeding is not contraindicated unless there is failure. If she is on warfarin or heparin also, anyhow, for 7 days postpartum, she will be taking heparin. So even if she is taking warfarin also, it is not contraindication for breastfeeding. What is the contraception you advise after delivery is any IUCD is avoided for fear of infection, and OC pills, steroidal contraception means combined oral contraceptive pills. That is also not advised because it may cause thromboembolism. IUCD avoided for fear of infection. The only contraceptive methods are pills, progestin only pills, progesterone only pills are safe. It is they are also called mini pills. They are safe because there will be no estrogen, so thromboembolism chances are less. uh, but compared to progesterone only pills, barrier method is the best method of contraception. And for permanent contraception, sterilization can be done at the end of first week after delivery by mini lab technique, Pomeroy's technique. If there is any decomposition, advise the husband to go for vasectomy. Then if by chance the patient goes into cardiac failure during pregnancy, how you will manage it in the ward? Immediately put the patient in propped up position. That is, the head end of the is raised, put oxygen monitor with ECG and pulse oximeter, uh, give diuretic furosemide, means Lasix 40 to 80 mg IV, put her on mechanical ventilation, give morphine 15 mg IM, give digoxin immediately IM followed by tablet orally. Digoxin remember digoxin crosses placenta and even excreted in breast milk. For dysrhythmias or arrhythmias, you can give quinidine, or electrical cardioversion also can be done. For tachyarrhythmias, adenosine is the treatment, or DC conversion. So what are the end coming to now? This is overall during how you manage a cardiac condition in pregnancy. So now we'll discuss about the specific heart diseases. First one is the rheumatic heart disease. Here in the picture you can see the left side, it is the normal mitral valve. Here it is MS, narrowing of the mitral valve. MS is the commonest heart lesion met during pregnancy. The normal mitral valve area is 4 to 6 centimeters. If it is narrowed less than 2.5 centimeters, symptoms appear. Asymptomatic, but the rheumatic heart disease is less, which is almost better tolerated. Mortality is less than 1%, but if it is symptomatic, mortality is between 5 to 15%. In during labor, epidural analgesia and is ideal, and less fluid, avoiding fluid overload, you can monitor the labor. And if do you need to treat the stenosis during pregnancy? Usually you withheld any surgeries during pregnancy. If necessary, she is going into failure, you have to do the surgery. Then best time of surgery, my valvotomy is 14 to 18 weeks. You do a balloon valvotomy or a valve replacement or commissurotomy. Next, aortic stenosis. Mitral valve area is 4 to 6 centimeters. Aortic valve area is 3 to 4 centimeters. Here, if it is reduced to less than 1, it is called stenosis. And maternal mortality, if aortic stenosis is 15 to 20%. Epidural anesthesia, here it is contraindicated. Restrict the fluids during labor. It is almost the management is same for the most of the conditions. Here is the picture of the aortic stenosis. You can see one the open valve and how the closed valve looks. Common symptoms are angina, that is chest pain, syncope, left ventricular failure. Here in a symptomatic patient, you have to go for a surgery. The treatment is aortic balloon valvoplasty. Open heart surgery is usually avoided in pregnancy. Congenital heart diseases. The rheumatic is over. Now congenital heart diseases. What are these? Are ASD, VSD, Fallot's, primary pulmonary hypertension, cyanotic heart diseases. With nowadays the congenital heart diseases, almost most of them are corrected in during the childhood only. So most of the pregnancy with congenital heart diseases are being because previously uh, these congenital heart disease patients, they used to die without correction. Nowadays they're increasingly getting corrected, so you're getting more and more conditions of pregnancy with the congenital heart disease conditions. But if it is corrected in childhood, it's not a problem. Those who are uncorrected, the problem will be there, particularly for cyanotic conditions. And the risk to the offspring of the congenital heart disease is 3 to 13%. And the major maternal risks are these. Okay, next. Coming to the acyanotic conditions, ASD. First one is ASD. It is a left to right shunt. ASD is the most common congenital heart lesion during pregnancy. Even uncorrected ASD tolerates pregnancy and labor well. Shunt reversal is the major risk. Okay, next. This is PDA picture, patent ductus arteriosus. You can see this is the normal, and here you can see the patent ductus arteriosus. Here, how it is diagnosed is a continuous murmur at the upper left sternal border. PDA is also better tolerated. Pulmonary hypertension causes maternal death. Okay. Next, VSD. VSD here, if the defect is less than 1.25 centimeters, usually heart failure doesn't occur. Pregnancy is well tolerated. Major risk is shunt reversal. Here is a picture of ventricular septal defect. Here the blood is going from the left ventricle, left to right shunt. Next, mitral valve prolapse. This is also commonest congenital valvular lesion. Most of them are asymptomatic. Women tolerate pregnancy and labor well, but endocarditis prophylaxis has to be given. You can see the picture here. It is a normal heart, and here in the mitral valve there is a prolapse and regurgitation. Blood is flowing back into the left atrium. Next, cyanotic shunt. Acyanotic are left to right, the ASD, VSD, PDA. Cyanotic conditions right to left shunt. Fallet tetralogy. Tetralogy means four. Pulmonary stenosis, RVH, VSD, aortic valve overriding the VSD. It is the most common cyanotic heart lesion, combination of VSD, PS, RVH, overriding aorta. After surgical correction, patients tolerate the pregnancy well. Those who are uncorrected, they are at increased risk. Maternal mortality 5 to 10%, perinatal mortality 30 to 40%, IUGR is common, epidural or spinal is avoided. Most of the heart lesions, general anesthesia is better. In uncorrected phthalates, better not go for a pregnancy. Next, coming to Eisenmenger syndrome. Here, patients with Eisenmenger syndrome, they will be having pulmonary hypertension with a right to left shunt, that is cyanotic heart disease, through an open ductus, an ASD or a VSD. Maternal mortality is about 50%, and also perinatal loss is 50%. For Eisenmenger's, termination of pregnancy should be seriously considered, and if she continues the pregnancy, heparin should be used throughout the pregnancy. Avoid epidural anesthesia. Inhaled nitric oxide or IV prostacyclin is used for as a pulmonary vasodilator. Their complications are congestive cardiac failure and all these complications, and even sudden death. So, the picture of the congenital heart lesions. Here in this picture, you can see a normal heart. Here it is a narrowed aorta, caudation of aorta. Cortication of aorta risk is hypertension, aortic dissection, rupture of the aortic aneurysm, rupture of the cerebral aneurysms. Maternal mortality is 3 to 9%. Usually prior to pregnancy it should be corrected. Termination of pregnancy is seriously considered. A best treatment for cortication of aorta is go for a elective cesarean section. This is a PG entrance bit. Their last cesarean section is indicated in which heart disease? Primary pulmonary hypertension. This occurs due to increased thickening of the muscular layer of the pulmonary arterioles. The cause remains unknown. Maternal mortality. This is also right to left shunt. It will be 50% maternal mortality rate, and termination of pregnancy is indicated. If she continues the pregnancy, go for complete bed rest, give heparin, oral nifedipine or an IV prostacyclin for pulmonary vasodilatation. Epidural morphine also can be given. Then those who are with pulmonary hypertension and right ventricular dysfunction, pregnancy is contraindicated. This is a picture of the primary pulmonary hypertension. The above picture is normal pulmonary arteries. Below is the vessels with the pulmonary hypertension. Vascular blood flow is constricted. Next, coming to Marfan syndrome. This is an autosomal dominant condition. there will be 50% chance of transmission to the offspring. If the dilatation of Marfan's means there will be aortic dilatation. If it is more than 40 mm, then it is a contraindication for pregnancy. Beta blockers can be used. Hypertension should be avoided. Vaginal delivery is preferable, that to shortening of second stage with forceps or vacuum. Next, Marfan syndrome, just a picture of what are the conditions will be there in Marfan syndrome. Main characteristic feature is long arms, legs, long fingers, eye problems will be there, abnormal chest and heart, lung problems will be there, short torso, tall, thin patients. Marfan syndrome patients are tall and thin. Next, prosthetic valves. These are patients with artificial valves. These are usually kept for the significant stenosis patients. Mechanical valves are durable, but the risk of thromboembolism will be very high with low molecular weight heparin rather than warfarin. Bioprosthetic valves, that is porcine valves, are superior to mechanical valves. Next, this is another very important condition, that is peripartum cardiomyopathy. What is peripartum cardiomyopathy is if the patient goes into cardiac failure within the last month of pregnancy or within 5 months postpartum. Usually there is a very high chance of mortality. That's why this is important. I am explaining you. When you diagnose a patient with peripartum cardiomyopathy, she has to develop cardiac failure within last month of pregnancy or within 5 months after delivery. No cause for the heart failure, no previous heart disease. This is important. Previously she is not a normal patient, may develop go into peripartum cardiomyopathy. On ECG, on echo, if you take, she will having left ventricular dysfunction, ejection fraction less than 45%. And the patients are usually multiparous, young, suddenly go into weakness, admitted in ICU with shortness of breath, palpitations. Examination reveals tachycardia, arrhythmia. Pregnancy is poorly tolerated in them, and vaginal delivery is preferred. Mortality is high. Next, MI means what you in the layman talks it as a heart attack or MI. It is rare in pregnancy. Management is mostly non-pregnant state. What you have managed, like, it will be the same in a pregnant condition also. You can go for angioplasty, stenting, thrombolytic therapy, and patient supine position should be avoided. Patient should be in left lateral. Avoid hypotension, and labor should be immediately after MI. She can't go for labor. At least 2 weeks gap should be there, and maternal pushing is avoided. Second stage is shortened. All these are the repeat things, and angioplasty can be done at 36 weeks of pregnancy if it is necessary. And this is the MI type. Just a picture of type 1 is plaque. It is caused by the plaque rupture with the thrombus formation. MI type 2 is condition which is caused due to vasospasm or endothelial dysfunction, that is constriction of the arteries. So this is grossly about the heart disease complicating pregnancy. Thank you.